I'm with Lila Rose, and you're the president of Live Action, and you got a lot going on there. Before we get into it, why don't you tell people how you got started in all this?
Sure. Well, I've been blessed to be part of the pro-life movement since I was a teen, and I first got involved when I was 9 years old, actually. I found out about abortion, and I was really horrified by it, and I wanted to somehow do something. So I volunteered at the local CPC and helped raise money for an ultrasound machine. And I spent a whole week, instead of doing my math homework, flipping through the church directory and calling up people even on the do not call list to try to get them to donate. And from that early age, it inspired me that even I could, in a small way, make a difference. And as I got older, I would just discover new ways and found Live Action when I was 15 to get involved with other young people to continue to spread the truth about abortion and the truth about life.
And when you first started getting really involved, doing one of the things that a lot of people might be scared of doing, and that was going into the actual abortion mills to see what they were saying to the women, or young girls in this case, in the various conditions. How are they handling rape? How are they handling, let's say, possible molestation by older men and that kind of thing? You started really getting an inside look at that, didn't you?
Yep. When I was 18, I did my first undercover investigation. Very amateur at the time, camcorder in my purse. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I walked into 2 Planned Parenthood clinics in Los Angeles, and I discovered immediately I was posing as a statutory rape victim, and I found the immediate cover of child sexual abuse, and also this manipulation in the counseling. Incredible manipulation where the manager of the clinic told me, posing as an underage girl, that she wished she could go back in time and abort her now 17-year-old son. And just hearing these things, I became deeply convicted that we needed to get visual evidence of what's happening every day in the abortion industry and lobby, and we need to put it out for the world to see. And so Live Action in the last 4.5 years has developed an investigative body, and now we're full-time as an organization to expose the abuses of the abortion industry and lobby visually, to go undercover not just in Planned Parenthood, but the other groups, NARAL, now, SECUS, and show the reality about what's really happening, what their discussions really are like, what's happening in their clinics, the many abuses that accompany that ultimate abuse of abortion.
Yeah, a couple of years ago here in Washington, D.C., there was a woman who was taking her daughter in for an abortion, and her boyfriend was the one who got her daughter pregnant, and her daughter was underage. And the sidewalk counselors who were there found out about that, and there was obviously a case to be made about child abuse on that. And we tried to raise attention on that. We really didn't get the attention that it needed. But the things that you've been doing has brought up attention around the country. Some of the states have even adopted some laws or even stopped funding of Planned Parenthood. So you've really had an impact, haven't you?
Yeah, it's amazing to see what a little bit of visual truth can do to cause an explosion in our country, not just politically, but socially, in hearts and minds, because truth, they say a picture speaks 1,000 words. Well, a videotape can speak 1,000,000, and it can touch the heart in ways and convict the heart in ways that a lot of debates and speeches and arguments won't necessarily do. Those things are important, but visual media is so essential. And so when we get actual undercover footage, when we show footage of abortion, the victim of abortion, especially to campuses, college and high school campuses, Live Action has a project called Here's the Blood. It's a word-of-mouth viral marketing media campaign to show the victims of abortion, here'stheblood.com. And it's amazing how people's minds start to change and they start to question those false words that they believed in, pro-choice, my body, my choice, reproductive freedom. They question those terms when they're confronted with the reality of what abortion's really doing. And it's exciting to see how the truth really does set us free.
And speaking of the truth, what do you say to church leadership on this issue who obviously have not taken this issue strongly up until now, but they're starting to. We're starting to see, like with 40 Days for Life, how much more churches are getting involved. And, the Christian effort behind this, we believe, is what's really going to make a difference. What do you say to church leadership who might be watching this? We have an organization called Cherish Life Ministries, and we're going to send these videos to pastors and say, look, here's what's important, and what kind of encouraging words would you have to say to a pastor who might be watching this?
Sure. Well, I think it's absolutely essential that pastors stand up and speak out boldly. Imagine if the pastors during if there was total silence among the church during slavery. And there was a lot of silence and complicity with slavery. But there were some, and they're remembered for it, that spoke out and said, this is wrong from the pulpit, we can't allow this. They were part of the Underground Railroad. They advocated for the rights of all people to be free. And I think that right now we're living in an even greater injustice. We're living amidst the greatest human rights abuse I believe our nation has ever seen. And Jesus Christ teaches us that whatever we do to the least of these, we do it unto him. So whatever we do to the least of these, that's our unborn brothers and sisters. They have no one to speak for them. They have no rights that are protected. Sometimes their own parents turn against them and take their life. And whatever we do to them, we're doing it to Christ himself. And so I think this is essentially an issue for the church, for Christians, for Catholics, for all people to stand up and say enough is enough. We need to end abortion in our nation.
Absolutely. How do people find out more about what you're doing?
Please join us online. Liveaction.org is our website. We have the biggest Facebook page. It's bigger than Planned Parenthood's now, nearing 300,000. Like the Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Live Action Films. I'm Lila Grace Rose on Twitter. And get involved with us on our blog. We got 100,000 unique visitors last month. Let's make it 200,000 next month. There's so many ways to get involved online, so please join us there and become a part of this movement. We're a winning movement. This is a movement of love, a movement of life, and I hope that you can become more involved.